Welcome back, you guys. We are doing our anniversary episode. This is part 2. So if you've seen part 1, you got to know our besties a little bit more. But part 2, we're going to dig a little bit deeper below the surface. So are y'all ready to get deep?
Let's get deep, baby. Let's get deep.
I'm a little scared.
So, Mickey, we're going to dig into your background a little bit.
Yeah.
So I kind of want you to discuss, I think you have a very interesting upbringing, and I think it's interesting to discuss. So let's talk about your upbringing and how did that kind of affect when it came to just knowing who you are as a person, whether it's like your race and your identity.
Yeah. So obviously I'm Black. I am adopted. I was adopted when I was born. My story is kind of very different than a normal person. Well, not a normal person, but somebody else who was probably adopted, because I was adopted by 2 white moms. So growing up was very interesting to me and very different than a lot of like my counterparts and my peers. I didn't really fully realize it probably until like high school, and then I had different realizations, I think, even in college and like even now that I'm like an adult. So I was adopted by 2 moms. I grew up in like white suburbia, completely white suburbia.
Can you say the name of your town just because it sounds extra white to me?
Oh my God. So the town I grew up in Pennsylvania, but the town I grew up in is Schwenksville.
I feel like I heard of that.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Medium-sized town, outside, like 40 minutes outside of Philadelphia. Went to white elementary school. I always knew I stood out for many different reasons, but I don't think I fully understood the full picture maybe until later on, because honestly, like I had like a great life. Like my mom's never made me feel like I wasn't a part of the family that I grew up in. My mom always made sure that I knew where I came from. I had an open adoption, which I think is a big part of it. And also I have an older brother who was also adopted.
Wow.
Which he didn't have an open adoption, but I had an open adoption. So growing up, like every holiday and everything, I would get presents from my birth mom.
Wow.
And just kind of going back, my birth mom had me when she was 13 years old.
Oh, she was a baby.
She was literally the first time she ever had sex.
Oh my God, my heart.
Yeah,
Jesus.
got pregnant. And then my dad was a couple years older, and they just kind of never were able to get in contact with him. It was kind of like they met at a party, they had sex, she got pregnant. And like I know the features of like my birth dad because it's all on like record, but she never spoke to him again after that happened. I obviously don't really know who he is. And I think even now I'm like, probably one day, but I feel like growing up, I always pretty much felt secure in the family that adopted me, and they embraced me. And one of my birth moms, she had a big family. So like it really, like I always knew I kind of was different, one being Black in a white community. And then also I was taller than everybody else. Like again, there's like so many things that kind of were like, I was bullied a little bit, but like for weird things, and like it was never really, I never really thought of it of like me being Black, but later on I kind of figured that out for different reasons.
That's crazy.
But anyways, kind of going back to my childhood and stuff, my mom's always made me feel like, you know, I knew my roots. 2 of my mom's best friends were Black, and there was a woman who, Kim, we're still really good family friends with them, who would always like braid my hair. She was like my preschool teacher, and both of my moms were teachers. So my mom would bring me to school with her, and my preschool was like on campus of the school she would go to. So I kind of, in a weird way, made a connection with my preschool teacher who was Black, and she would braid my hair and she would talk to me about like different things that my mom obviously she can try, but she obviously can't relate to.
Yeah.
And so that I think didn't really hit me until later on of like kind of who am I, until I kind of really started getting into sports, because playing basketball, I played basketball since I was like in 2nd grade. That's really where I started to see people who looked like me, and I was able to make more friends and connect in that way. being an athlete, and even honestly up until college, I think my whole identity in a weird way, which kind of wraps into my childhood, was like being an athlete and like all these things. But growing up, my again, like I said, my brother was adopted. I would receive gifts from my birth mom every like Christmas, Easter, and all these things. And my mom told me it was from my birth mom, but I don't think I was too young to really realize like the full picture of everything.
Right.
Kind of fast forward to 8th grade. My mom reached out to my birth mom on Facebook. I think 8th grade's kind of like a weird transition for everybody. Like you're coming from like middle school to high school, and like you kind of think you know yourself, and you're like, you know, obviously like your teenage years, and like, you get excited for high school. But for me in particular, it was very transitional because my mom and my birth mom were communicating online for the first time, and my birth mom was very set on wanting to meet me, and that was the first time that she kind of wanted to actually like meet me in person instead of just like sending gifts every year. And like I grew up with a lot of kids who I would call my cousins who were like adopted. They like their parents kind of like wanted nothing to do with them, and it was like bad situations, and that's kind of how my brother's situation was. So for me, I was like, I have everything I need. Like I have a family that loves me.
Did they give you the opportunity to say like, hey, like, do you want to be involved with your
100%. My moms were always very open of like, it's up to you. Whatever you want to do, we'll do. If you don't, you don't. And so it got to the point where it was like kind of like the day of, and I was like, I don't really feel like I want to go. I was like, Mom, you can go and meet her and stuff, but like I feel like I know myself. And it's crazy. I think everybody feels that, like, oh, I'm so certain, I'm so grown, I like know who I am at like different.
In 8th grade.
Yeah, in 8th grade.
Fast
yeah, right. But it's like I was like, I have everything I need. I feel so loved. I feel blessed to have the opportunities. Like I felt like all of that. And my mom I was like, but you go. Like I know you want to, because I think also my mom wanted to get to know her better, to also like share with me. Like she wanted to make me feel like I knew every single part of me in a sense.
Yeah, the fact that they kept it open from the get-go.
Yeah, and like there's open adoptions and closed adoptions. So like closed adoptions, it's like the parents don't want to communicate with you anymore. It's like they don't want you to know who they are really. And then there's the open adoptions where it's like, yeah, you can know their identity, but they might never ever reach out, but it's like you still know a little bit more about the family.
Yeah. Wow. But is it the adopted parents that makes that decision, or is it the...
No, it's so like,
mutual?
You know what?
I'm not really sure.
I'm actually not really sure. In my situation, obviously, it was mutual. And like, even my mom's, they wanted an open adoption, but my brother's parents didn't want one. Okay. So I'm not really sure legally, like,
maybe they make both counterparts like make that decision and go based off that.
Yeah. But all that said, my mom was leaving, going out to the car to go meet her. And I was like, yeah, I'm cool. Within 5 minutes, she went down the road, and I called her. I was like, actually, I changed my mind. And in that moment, that first day, we met up. I remember to this day, like everything. We met up at the cheesecake factory at the mall. And literally,
why you gotta mean cheesecake?
it was that, like, honestly, that is one of the most pivotal moments in my life, because that is like my birth mom now is like one of my best friends. Like we are, and we literally, Blake has met her. We look like identical. Like everybody thinks we're sisters. And it was such an interesting conversation that I didn't know I needed. I needed to know who my mom was more than I realized. Yeah, like immediately. It wasn't awkward. Like I thought it would be super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It was like, and we have so many things in common too, which is like, oh, this is why I am who I am. And it's like, you obviously pick up things from your parents from being around them, but it's crazy to not have grown up with somebody and you're so much alike.
Yeah,
it's like,
that's your whole...
it's your DNA. Yeah.
Like, that's a part of your identity. So like, I'm glad even after 8th grade, you were like, okay, this is something that
she came to my 30th birthday party. I mean, she used to come to some of my games at Manhattan. She lives in Philly. I live in Philly. And she's like 15 minutes from me. And so, we've been close since we met in person. But that was a little bit tough, I think, with my older brother situation. So another aspect of my life too is my older brother has very serious mental health issues. So growing up, my brother's 2 years older than me, but I always kind of felt like the older sister because in 6th grade, we kind of realized he had really serious ADHD, which then turned into bipolar. And then a couple years ago, he got diagnosed with a little bit of schizophrenia. So I've always kind of been like the older sister in a sense, in a lot of ways, and have had to take care of him, and not like take care of him, but like be more mindful in other ways that I realized like, oh, my friends don't have to worry about these things, or like even just like getting opportunities of like getting a full-ride scholarship and my brother not having the opportunity to even like go to college, like was a lot on me. Like I felt bad about some of my successes growing up and the things that I wanted to do because he just wasn't able to do it because of the things that he was going through. So that was a lot, I think, also growing up on me. Yeah, so I think in a lot of ways I felt guilty in certain situations growing up because I somewhat understood at the time the things that my brother was going through, but I don't think I really understood, to be honest, until I got into college and obviously became more mature and we're having different experiences outside of my house, outside of my neighborhood, moving to another state. I lived in New York and then moved back home in 2020, which I think was a hard year for everybody.
Wow.
I can't even imagine how hard it is on people who already have mental illnesses and just things they were struggling with. So when I moved home, obviously my brother's always lived at home up until the last like couple years. We put him into like a group home situation where he has like therapists checking in on him. He lives with people who have not the same type of issues that he deals with on a daily basis, but still people who, you know, need that extra help and push just in life in general of like going to work every day, functioning as like an adult and stuff. So I lived with my brother for 3 years from like 2020 to 2023. And then I moved back, I moved into the city. But that I think for me was also just like a different awakening of like kind of fully understanding things that were going on with him and just like the struggles that I think I was able to help out with in a different sense that I thought I was helping out with when I was a little bit like younger. But again, very difficult, I think, for anybody.
But you have such a humbling story too. Yeah. So I feel like you even putting yourself in his shoes and like, hey, like I really don't know what you're going through, but I want to know and just be empathetic towards that. I feel like not everybody can get that from their siblings.
100%. And I think, I mean, in general, his life, he obviously grew up in the same house that I did. So like, I understand that we had things that other people didn't have maybe, or just like love in general. Like I grew up in a very loving home, but it's different for somebody who is going through what he went through to see it the same way as somebody who is, you know, fully aware of everything. So yeah, putting yourself in their shoes can be difficult, but yeah, that's like, I love him. So like I would do anything for him, but yeah, definitely difficult though. Like it's definitely difficult. And I think again, like as a kid, you're not able to put yourself in somebody else's shoes as easily as you are maybe later on. And that was like definitely my situation. So I don't want to say I don't think I lived a hard life. I just grew up very differently than a lot of the people that surrounded me. I am so much more appreciative, I think, today than I was in the moment. You know what I mean? And I don't think I never appreciated it, or I just was like, I just always felt different.
You realize so much more.
You realize so much more. And I think that's like anybody in any situation, but yeah.
You're just like, dang, okay, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, actually, no, 100%. 100%. I'm fully thankful for everything. And I want to ask for any other family or how I grew up. I'm blessed to have a relationship with my birth family. I'm blessed to have such a good relationship with the family that adopted me, and even my aunts and uncles and cousins. Like they fully embraced me, and obviously I don't look like them. I just all those situations. So I'm thankful for where I'm at now, and also just like being able to understand and be more appreciative for those things too.
Well, we're thankful for them.
It makes you who you are.
We have this Mickey, this version of you. So this is amazing.
But how do you think, like, as a Black woman, how did you find your identity being adopted by a white family?
It was nice that I was appreciative that my birth moms, they never tried to like isolate me from the Black culture and that side of me. I think they did a really good job of trying to help me understand who I am and my identity outside of just like being surrounded by white people a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And even like obviously pushing me into sports because they understood that that's probably where she's going to find and be able to connect with people who are Black. And so again, like I was started being in sports since I was like in second grade. And then even just outside of that, I met some of my best friends even now through sports, but also just being able to have the opportunities that they gave me. But I don't know, I feel like there was different areas of growth where I was like, oh, like, I think I'm knowing who I am now. I think the first part of that was probably college and just being by myself and outside again of how I grew up and figuring it out. But I would say even outside of college and not being just an athlete, that's a whole nother conversation of just like the athlete world and like you kind of just seeing yourself as this. And it's like after that, it's a kind of like, what's next? That was a whole nother level of like, who am I?
Yeah, outside of that. Yeah.
Because again, I think a lot of my identity of being Black and then also just playing sports was like being an athlete and like connecting that way. So going into corporate America was a change, especially like working in finance was just so different just how I navigate that now was a lot different than how I navigated it even in college and me feeling like I kind of know who I am a little bit differently. Yeah. So.
Wow. No, very interesting. Jayla? Your story is interesting because I just wanted you to talk more about you being raised by a single mother, by a single Black mother, but also being raised with literally 6 siblings.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know I'm the youngest of 11. So I have 6 siblings on my dad's side and I have 5 on my mom. And it was crazy. It was chaotic. We grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment. My mom, my 4 sisters, and my 1 brother. And it was fun. It was a party every day. I thought I was the youngest. So I was the youngest. I was like, oh my God, it's so fun. Like everybody's here. Like it's such a good time. And my mom, she didn't work, but she was always busy doing something. Like either figuring out how she was going to bring food home or like at my auntie house doing something. And she was a party animal too. I think that's where I get it from.
I was like,
yeah, so she would be outside and my oldest sister took up a lot of space in the house. So she was like a second mom to me. Yeah, I didn't see it as anything detrimental. Like I grew up like thinking I had a really good life and that I was raised well. And then when I got older, I was like, damn, we kind of struggled, didn't we? We were talking about food we ate when we were kids. And I'm like, I grew up on corn dogs and ramen noodles and beanies and weenies and like those things that were comforting food to me that people was like, that's a struggle meal. And I didn't realize that it was a struggle until I got older. And I was like, oh, but this is something that I still like to this day. So am I the struggle? So yeah, it was a different time when I was younger. I was expressing to them off camera that I didn't meet my dad's side of the family until I was like a little bit older, like maybe 5 or 6. I had a Chuck E. Cheese party. My mom invited all of my dad's siblings, like all of my dad's kids, and then my dad, of course. And that was the first time that I met them. And even then I was just like, I thought there were just extra people to the party. And I didn't understand that these were my siblings until I got older, like maybe in preteen area where I was like, oh, they look a little bit different. They act a little bit different. Cause my mom's side had always was like a bougie, like had this bouginess to them. I'm like, how did you have this bouginess to you when we grew up like this? But I mean, we carried that on. And my dad's side is a little, I guess that's where I get my little spicier side of like, what's up? Anything is up. So yeah, it was interesting, but I wouldn't change anything about it. Yeah.
And how do you think you developed your identity in a household where, you know, not all of your siblings shared the same mother and father. And you weren't raised in a 2-parent home. So it's like, how do you find your identity with, you know, obviously you all have, some of you guys have different.
Yeah.
You know,
no, we all do.
I
would say it was trial and error. Like my oldest sisters. So we'll talk about my mom's side because my dad's side, I'm not as close to them. So we'll just focus on mom's side. So my 2 oldest siblings, which are sisters, they have the same mom and dad. And then I have a sister and brother who has the same mom and dad. And then my sister B, she has her own dad and I have my own dad. And so growing up, I had different layers of everybody dad that were playing a part of also a stepdad to me. So my oldest siblings, their dad, they took on ownership of them and also all my other siblings. So they would come home and bring us food and take us. My mom had it going on. Like when I tell you, men were taken care of and my mom wasn't working, she was living her best life. I'm like, whoa. Like all these guys were taking care of the entire family. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm just going to take care of my kids. No, my mom would be like, you taking care of me and my other kids as well. Right. So it was definitely refreshing to be like, dang, I could see my oldest sister, like one, just sacrificing a lot to make sure her siblings were okay. And that's, till this day, she still does the same. Like she still holds that space as a second mom to me too, more than a sibling. Yeah. And so anything I need, I know that she'll just like give her all towards anything that I'm like, if I need just time, reassurance, or financially I need help, she's always that person that I will call. And she went to college. She like was the groundbreaking person for our family. And then all of my other siblings kind of followed suit. My brother kind of went a different direction because he always had like an entrepreneur mindset. So he started making like vanity mirrors and getting in contact with celebrities. So we were like around different celebrities in Houston that, I mean, like Anaya Lamise, like back then, who would have known that she would have blew up the way she is now? She's on the Tyler Perry movie. And like, he like engaged us with so many people on like the more business aspect. And then all of my other sisters, they went into like career-driven aspects, like going to college. All my sisters graduated from college, now got their masters, and one is going to get her doctorate, and I'm following her lead too. So it was always an encouraging competitive mindset of like, yeah, I want to be just like my next successor. And I also want to encourage you guys to do the same. So I think there were just really good role models in my life to like, hey, just because we came from here, that doesn't have to be our end story.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. No, like, it's like, yeah, your story is always so interesting. Just having so many different siblings.
Yeah. But we never forget where we came from. Like A-Leaf, the SWAT of Houston is like, baby, if anyone try to play, like, like, yes, educated, but they'll play.
Yeah. I think one thing I want to talk about, I think it's something that we talk about a lot on our podcast, but something you both kind of expressed so far is just mental health and therapy.
Yeah.
And so I think you being a therapist, Jayla, is very important and very interesting.
Yeah.
Do you believe that as a therapist, therapists need therapy too?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know. At one point, Ashley was crying, please get help. I was actually begging her. I was like, Ashley, I think there's some things that I need to unfold because and we'll talk about different situations in my life, right, where I was like, yeah, I see that this is a problem and this is something that I really want to focus and hone in.
Yeah. And
even though I was like really decent in other areas, I saw the things that I need to work with, and Ashley was like, please, bitch, go. Please, by all means. But like, absolutely, I am a huge advocate of no matter what career you choose, that everyone should seek mental health services. And I think it's important for you because like, and we talk about it in spiritual aspect too, of like, even though you get over this one bridge, there's always something in the corner that'd be like, hey, focus on me too. This need help too. And you're like, wait a minute, give me a second, because I'm still working on this one thing. But as soon as you start elevating in life, it's always going to be another barrier. It's always going to be another barrier. So we need to continuously work on ourselves and make sure that that's prevalent. So as a therapist, yes, you're dealing with different energies and just livelihoods and different stories where you have to decompress throughout your services every single day. And so you have to make sure you're good. I can't be a helping hand. I can't be a part of the healing process for you if I'm unwell myself. So it's definitely important.
I think everybody needs therapy. And I've been saying that even before I even got therapy, to be honest. I'm like, everybody needs therapy. I think for me personally, I went to therapy for the first time when I was like young because of my brother would go to therapy. So my mom's, we would do like family therapy sessions, and then I would have like one-on-one with his therapist, and then we would have together. But I didn't understand what the heck was going on. So like even today, as of now, I've been going to therapy since last May at this point. So it's been over a year at this point. But I, for the longest time, was just scared. And I'm just like, it's like, you kind of want to talk to somebody. There's so many things that have gone on in your life. There's reasons why you are where you are, but it's like, I was scared to like maybe figure out like the root of what it was.
It's a scary thing.
It's very scary. So,
it's very vulnerable.
Yeah.
I
think
your
also
most vulnerable state.
To your point, like I feel like getting like obviously I thought my household was so great, but it was a lot of dysfunctional things that were happening. And so when you grow up in a dysfunctional household, it's like don't ask, don't tell, don't speak. And so when you grow up like that, certain things you mute or you start to suppress until you actually start seeking the help. And you're like, dang, I probably needed to share that. That was something that was important for me to break, again, grounds, barriers for myself. And so I think that's what I've learned. Like a lot of the times, the things that happen within my household, I wasn't able to speak about. And so now that I'm finding my voice, I'm like, it's healing in that, finding your voice and finding the space for yourself to be like, okay, it's okay, Jayla. Like you're in a safe place now to be able to talk about these things and no one's going to judge you. And that's the beautiful thing about therapy too, is like, I don't have these biased opinions in my life. Like this person doesn't really know me. She only know what I give to the table. And so that unbiasedness is so important in your healing journey.
That's real. Wow. Let's see what else I have for y'all ladies. Have you ever experienced not being Black enough? Like what did you experience with that?
Yeah, I feel like within my family, I wasn't Black enough at a certain point. And I honestly don't know where that came from. Because again, I grew up in A-Leaf, which is what do I call it, Ash?
The proper,
it's a SWAT, but I call it also like the proper hood. Like there's hood places in Houston, but A-Leaf is like, it's like you want to be hood, but baby girl, you got something going on for yourself. So, so I grew up in that area, but then I feel like in high school, for some reason, because we went to a Title I school district. I don't know if that's a thing in y'all states.
Title I
school districts, which is where low income families go and put their kids in. And so a lot of the teachers were Caucasian. And so I went to high school like that where all of my teachers were Caucasian, but there was a lot of predominantly Black, Hispanic, and then Asian. And then we had like one or two Caucasian people and kids in the school. And so I think being there, like when you have teachers that actually pour into you, like I try to kind of mimic some of the things that they did or the way they carried themselves. And so I think I took that on into like the way I talked and the way I like just acted at school. And so when I would go home, my brothers and sisters would be like, and like, I find myself when I come home from LA now, like in LA, I talk a certain way, but then like when I get home, it's just like that Southerner accent come out and I just feel at home. And it's just like, it's just two totally different ball games. But yeah, I feel like I got bullied the most from my siblings of like, girl, who in a white are you?
We talk about that all the time, is that a lot of times it's not even from like being Black in predominantly white spaces. A lot of times it's from your Black peers or your own family. That is making you feel not Black enough.
And then I went to PWI, so that didn't help. I came home and he really didn't know. They were like, J.A., please just stay home with us because what is happening?
What about you, Mickey?
I definitely have felt that in so many different areas. I think, obviously, again, like I grew up with 2 white moms. I grew up in a white community. And I think when I was finding my Black friends finally in life, like I always felt like different than them still. Whether it was like, obviously, they have all Black people in their family. The way I spoke was always something that people talked about. And I obviously never saw it because I'm like, I speak how I speak. Like maybe it's because I live in the suburbs. I don't know, like whatever the case is, but I always just spoke so differently than everybody. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm just well spoken. For the longest time, I'm like, what is it? Like, but I always felt different than even my Black friends. And I would find myself being around their family or whatever the case was. And I was like trying to be more Black in a lot of ways, where there was like changing a little bit the way I would speak, especially because Philly has a little slang. I mean, everybody has a little slang, but like Philly, really, they got a little slang to them. And I was like,
Culture.
yeah. And so there was that aspect. And like, even now working in finance for primarily white people, there's just like different ways where I'm like, even when I answer the phone, I'm like changing my voice up a little bit. And I'm like, wait, what is this? And then I go back to speaking how I speak. But like, I did that a lot. I think early codes. Yeah, exactly. And I don't feel like I do that as much now that I'm like way more settled in my career. I'm like, I am who I am, and y'all still have had me around for 7 years because I am who I am. But like, definitely even like early on in my career, I found myself still like navigating like, who am I and how do I fit into this? But now I'm just like, y'all gonna take me how I am. It is what it is.
Vibe out.
I remember at one point I was dating this guy and I met his mom, and his mom was like, where is she from? Like, is she from, like, she thought I had like a London accent, which London is crazy. But she thought, and he was like,
London is wild.
mind you,
I didn't mean to.
he lived in Jersey. He lived in Jersey. We're not talking about like he's from the South or anything. And he told me in the car, and I was like, damn, it's not that different.
Right, no, London, I'm like,
Hello, nice to meet you.
I was like, what the hell? Mind you, I'm always like, I'm so bad at accents. So at first I was like, wait, how did I sound? Like, I cannot put on an accent for anything.
Girl, not you.
But I was like, damn. Like, but yes, I think for a majority of my life, I was trying to figure out, like, I felt like, am I Black enough in a lot of different, being with certain people? Yeah. So that was interesting to navigate.
Too Black for the white spaces.
Yeah.
Too white for the Black spaces.
Exactly.
It's never enough.
I think we've all been there, done that, honestly. Yeah. When do you feel the most connected to your Blackness?
When I'm home in Houston. I feel like Houston is such an underrated Black excellent space. Like, I've been traveling to different places and trying to find that. And where, obviously, like DC, it's a lot of Black people. There's a lot of great Black people, but it's just that. And then in Houston, it's like a melting pot where there's like Blacks, Hispanics, white, and then Black people just thrive on top of that. So I feel like when I'm home, I get my authentic Blackness on. Put me on some great Dreams and Nightmares. Let's vibe out the most city to dawn. Like, and then also we going to church. We're gonna do brunch after. We're just gonna get it all. And I think that is where my true Blackness just thrive, because I'm like, baby, this is home. It's nothing like home. I grew up hella Black. Blackity, blackity, black.
Sis from Houston, born and raised, and said Dreams and Nightmares out of all.
I said most of these on too. But like, I don't know why we vibe with Philly people so big.
Yeah. Because Dreams and Nightmares was taking over the clubs for forever.
Yeah, out here, really bad.
Sick of Meek Mill. Sick of us. Sick of Philly.
Yeah, I know.
But he is no longer our king, so.
But put on Zero to Cook, we good.
Yeah.
We still gonna play that at every party, but still.
Yeah.
I think for me it was like New York, just seeing like kind of like the melting pot of everybody. Everybody, you can be exactly who you are, and no one's going to judge you. Like, you see every type of person in New York. And it's like everybody who is who they are, they mind their business and they don't judge you for that. I think like even like living in Philly, everyone's like, oh, you say you're from Philly, and it's like, which part? And it's like they determine who you are and how you're going to act based off of you live in North Philly, you grew up in West Philly. So like for me, like it's a little bit different, but New York for sure, I think it was the first authentic, fully like city that I've ever lived in, where it's like you are who you are and people accept you for that. And so your black might not be the same as the next person's black, but we're all black and we in this together, we gonna ride. So
Have you ever been called an Oreo?
Me?
who?
Anyone? Either of you?
No.
In high
Or
school.
or insinuated as such?
No, people have called me like, oh, you act like a white girl. They've never called me an Oreo though.
In high school, I was called an Oreo, but it was by some Hispanic. I don't be taking people for real. Girl,
I was one person called an Oreo.
well, actually, you grew up suburbials. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not a suburban.
But I think like even living in suburbia, like those people thought I was black. Like you know what I mean? And then when I would come and hang out, go to the city to hang out with my friends, it was like, again, like to your point, like too black for the white people, too white for the black people. So like I was never, no one's ever called me an Oreo. I was just either one or the other, to be honest, depending on who I was with.
Wow.
Yeah.
They must really have respect too.
But I would also say I always looked at myself as like a chameleon. Like I can really talk to anybody. I feel like
multifaceted girl.
yeah, exactly. I can fit into any space. I can, and I think that has also been not advantage, but like a positive, and also just growing up in a space that maybe I wasn't fully comfortable in at times. You know what I mean?
But you can tell you have a lot of confidence now, so that definitely shaped you too.
Thank you.
That's gas.
We're working on the confidence in different areas, but I feel like I'm at a point in my life where like I feel the best of how I've ever really felt and the most confident in who I am. Yeah. So it takes work though. It takes a lot of work. We're still getting there.
Yeah. We all are.
Okay. Love that. What's your most random ick?
I don't think I have one, honestly.
I know one of Mickey's.
What is hers?
When guys sit down and their feet don't touch the floor.
Oh my God, when men's feet swing, it's fucking disgusting.
Whoa.
I also, for a while, had a problem with men sneezing. I don't know what it was, but like
Sneezing is crazy.
is fucking gross. Men sneeze? No, they can't. Go to another room. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see
wipe their nose with $100, so hot.
Because I don't want the money then. Like, I mean,
I'll take the
cash,
money.
put it in my bank account for me. Like, I don't know. But yeah, men's feet not touching the floor is weird. It's weird. Then like move forward then and sit closer, because why are your feet in the air?
Yeah.
Why are your feet in the air?
Yeah.
As a man,
Yeah.
I literally cried.
it's crazy.
I can see that. That doesn't bother me. Swing your feet, baby. Let's go swinging.
See, the thing about you're saying that, but it's like as long as they have a coin attached.
Damn. No, don't clock my teeth. But yeah, honestly,
baby, you don't want I know you don't want a broke man swinging his feet.
absolutely not.
Exactly.
Swing your feet all day long unless you.
So Jayla's ick is broke.
That is one of her icks,
essentially.
I can't stand a brokey. I don't care if you're a girl, man, dog, cat. You can't be broke. I don't care.
A dog, a cat. It's crazy. Wait, what's your ick?
I don't know. I can't really think off the top of my head.
I feel like when something happens, I'm like, ew. But like, when just thinking in general, I'm like, I don't know. But like, when it happens, I know.
I think I know now. Going back to your icky story about the guy, I hate news. Do not send me
Unsolicited.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's so annoying. It
not
doesn't
even
make me...
if it's illicit. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see a picture of you. If you're my man, I'll see you in person.
Yeah.
I don't want a picture.
Well, I also kind of get an ick when men take pictures of themselves.
Selfies.
Selfies is like, what are you doing?
that's
This is
true.
for the, like, what are you doing? Don't do that. Like, we're not doing that.
That's true. Especially like a man that will like especially when you're just getting to know him and he's like randomly sending all these selfies and photos of him. It's like, I didn't ask for this.
Or him asking, can you take a picture of me? Can I take a picture of you?
Yeah.
If you're trying to
I
take
see
more
that.
pics than me, and then also on top of that, if your Instagram feed is more curated than mine, you're doing photo dumps at the end of every month.
Yeah.
Photo.
Yeah, that's an ick.
I cannot.
That's an ick.
Because why do you care more than I do?
You said no trauma, just a dump.
Yeah. No.
No, baby. No.
That's
Well,
funny.
y'all, I think this has been super fun.
I know.
Should we hold hands
that.
now?
Yes.
Do we feel closer?
Yes. This is so good.
Like,
Thank
get
y'all
off
for
of me.
inviting us.
Yes.
I'm so proud of y'all.
So we usually do a mantra moment. So
Okay.
I wanted to ask, do either of you
what?
have a mantra
I
moment?
feel like Jayla has to have one.
Yeah,
Right.
my therapist actually gave me one going
Okay.
into my 30th, knowing how stressed I was to go back home for a little bit. And she said, it doesn't have to be perfect, it just needs to be done. And then my personal one is, because as a girl of impulses, is an urge is not a demand. So even though you feel this urge, it doesn't mean you have to do it. Take your time with it, think it through, and then move forward.
Amen.
I
Very
love
well
that.
said.
I might be taking that, girl.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that.
I love that.
I love you guys.
Love you.
This was so much fun.
It was. Thanks for, I know.
coming.
Yeah, thank you so much for flying me out for my first podcast.
The fact that all the girlies are here, we're gonna have such a good time this weekend.
I'm so excited.
I do want to say how proud I am of you guys. And like, since day one, when Ashton was like, so my friend Blake asked me to do the podcast, and I'm like, yes, do it, because this made you come out of your comfort zone. And I see both of you guys just flourishing so much and just doing so many great things. And I don't just promote anyone, and I promote y'all so much because I believe in this podcast, and just one day y'all gonna be on TV. So mark my
You heard it here
motherfucking word.
first. Maybe not first, but you heard it here.
Heard it here.
Shout out to your 1 year. I'm seriously proud of you guys. You guys are killing
Thank you.
That was
Thanks for
great.
being here for our 1 year.
That's a wrap.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
I know.
1 year.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like honored to be here.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be your
To the
friends.
couch.
Right.
Okay, well,
Close us out.
yes, because I'm hangry.
Yes.
I need food. Blood sugar on low. Thanks for tuning in. Please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, all platforms at Suburban Black Girl Pod. Email us at suburbanblackgirlpod@gmail.com. Follow Jayla at Viva La Jayla. Follow Mickey at Mikaela Jasmine _. And we will see you next week.
Bye.